Shindig is not one of Firefly's best episodes. The villain is a little bit too detestable. The ending seems a bit too pat and conventional. The social messages, such as those involving what poor Kaylee is trying to deal with, are a bit too simple and obvious. In general, there is a list of things that seem more staged than realistic. On the flip side, however, Shindig contains some of the best conversations and most intriguing scenes of any episode. The relationship between Malcolm and Inara never felt better than in this episode, and a lot of insights about characters seem to come out of the woodwork. Surprising insights. Some make you laugh, some make you smile uncontrollably, some make you feel embarrassed, even for the poor petty criminal boss who asks just a simple question of the super genius empathic psycho ward patient. My favorite surprise is Malcolm's apology to Kaylee, but all of these surprises, or almost all of them, have an upbeat theme. Even when Badger shows up with his goons, it is made very clear that danger is a long time coming. Usually someone is getting mocked, fooled, or presented with a situation that we should have guessed at in retrospect. And in this way, the episode keeps us on our toes quite nicely. Notice that Inara picks another potential client to view before she picks Atherton.
I understand your time on our planet is limited.
I think this is important. Often the ending of a Firefly episode will be subtly revealed in the opening scenes. And this is another way that the writers reveal the characters to us by simply rearranging the plot.
Now there's the smile made of sunlight.
Atherton.
Here we see Inara through her hesitation, possibly indicating that Atherton is not the guy to sweep her off her feet. It also quickly becomes clearer that Inara only accepted his contract because he invited her to a cool party.
I ask, heart in my throat.
Joining up with this guy would be her worst impulse. She knows it. We know it. And so the subsequent debate about whether or not she will permanently bunk up with this guy becomes somewhat moot.
Now, I'm sorry, Atherton, I have to run.
This episode is not about Inara's struggle with a tough decision. Instead, it is about Malcolm thinking that she is struggling with a tough decision.
Good afternoon, Captain.
Morning. We're downing in case Wash don't kill us all. Local time's going to be in the AM, 10 or so.
Yes, I saw that.
Any complaints? Atherton Wing. Yeah, he's a regular, ain't he?
I've seen him before.
Badger. Captain Reynolds. Heard you was in town. Thought we might have a bit of a sit-down.
Prefer a bit of a piss off.
I'm very sorry. Did I give you the impression I was asking?
Badger is the quintessential uppity gang leader. Ripper later gives him his comeuppance, but here we see a man with a lot of guns, but not a lot of respect. This is all well and good, of course, but what is most important is that this is a very good character because the idiot seems to exist in a real world. That seems to be a nice little theme with Firefly, doesn't it?
There's a trick to it. Wood alcohol.
Now we're favored guests.
He, like virtually all of Firefly's villains, is acting in response to the world around him. He's not simply acting unfriendly because an action-adventure plot demands it. He is acting how some people would when placed in the middle of this anarchy. He seeks legitimacy with his fancy hat and sly business dealings, and without big government to tell him where to put his ass, he, like Malcolm Reynolds and everyone else he deals with, looks to carve out a life for himself, albeit a dodgy one.
Why me? You have access to ships. You could do it yourself.
Might deal with me direct. It's taking a rational dislike.
What happened? Is he your faith?
He's a quality gent. Nose in the air like he never won Guapi. Don't find me respectable, but you, I think, got a chance.
You backed out of a deal last time. Left us hanging.
Hurt our feelings.
This is one of Jane's best comedy scenes. He's not really paying too much attention, but he is devilishly perceptive.
Word.
Pretentious?
Exactly. You think you're better than other people.
He is extremely important to this scene, if only to keep up the comic relief, which is, as I mentioned before, very important to this episode.
And stick up your pigoo. It's about as large as the one the Arrow's got.
How would you even set up a meet? That won't deal with you.
No place it'll be. Safe place. Using some new tech gun scans. High class, too. Wouldn't let me in there. You might slip in. Of course, you couldn't buy an invite with a diamond the size of a testicle. I got my hands on a couple.
In the course of any man's life, it becomes necessary to apologize to a woman friend.
Miss K. Winnett Lee Fry, an escort.
Any man who denies having done this is probably lying. Apologizing to such a friend is never easy, but if you go to the trouble, your reward is forthcoming. Just like Kaylee's lip-chapping smile in this scene, Malcolm's no-holds-barred apology moves into some sort of sublime area. It is wordless, the best kind of apology, graceful, to the point, almost shocking, and need I say, so appropriate that it makes me laugh a little. And this is not the only great apology in a Firefly episode. When Simon pushes Kaylee's chair in safe, we get a similar fuzzy feeling.
I think I actually know.
Please notice that Captain Tightpants is in Southern U.S. style dress. In case you haven't also noticed, how silly of you, Nathan Fillion's regular costume includes actual trousers from the Civil War era. Joss Whedon has mentioned more than once that the Pulitzer Prize-winning book The Killing Angels inspired Firefly. The book is mostly about Confederate soldiers fighting the Battle of Gettysburg. Firefly is often said to be about what happens after the book, and that makes sense. You may want to read up on your American history after the war between the states. A lot of cowboy mythology comes out of that era. Firefly is definitely inspired by the same stuff.
My work's illegal, but at least it's honest.
What?
While the lie of it, that man parading you around in his arm as if he actually won you, as if he loves you, and everyone here going along with it.
These people like me and I like them. I like Atherton too, by the way.
Well, sure. What's not to like? I'm liable to sleep with him myself.
This conversation here between Mal and Inara is deceptively simple. They don't have the wildly conflicting motivations and the reams of asides and commentaries that are in other good Firefly conversations, but this is a surprisingly effective depiction of their relationship. They are having a conversation like normal people should, and a deeper relationship is slowly coming out of the woodwork.
You got the right to a decent life.
I see Kaylee's here.
Cried Cinderella tears. You should have seen her when I told her she could have that layer of cake she's wearing.
I think she looks adorable.
Yeah, but I never said it. Possible you were right. This ain't my kind of party. Oh, now. Watch yourself. No need for hands-on.
Excuse me, she's not here with you, Captain. She's mine.
Yours. Now, she don't belong to nobody.
Money changed hands, which makes her mine tonight. And no matter how you dress her up, she's still...
Here's a good example at how this episode is keeping it all upbeat.
Turns out this is my kind of party.
Oh, Mel.
Malcolm is in mortal danger when he discovers that the duel is to be with swords. But things are supposed to be kept somewhat cheerful, so the writers put in a little joke. And just as important, the director zooms in the camera just slightly to emphasize his line.
Well, that's fine. Let's get out of here.
It's not a fist fight, Mel.
The duel will be met tomorrow morning at Cadry Pond.
Oh, why wait? Where's that guard? He collected a whole mess of pistols.
If you require it, any gentleman here can give you use of a sword.
Use of a sword?
Another episode, if it were trying to be melodramatic, would zoom in really close to give us more of a sense of urgency. But this is supposed to be kind of funny.
Such a comfort, having friends visit a time like this.
Well, I know the accommodations would be nice. Atherton doesn't skimp.
I don't suppose I like being kept by him as much as others do. So, how come you're still attached to him?
Because it's my decision, not yours.
Thought he made it pretty clear he's got no regard for you.
You did manage to push him into saying something, yes. Made a nice justification for the punch.
This is my favorite scene between these two characters. They seem to have developed a good relationship.
Why'd this get so complicated?
But they're both hinting at more. They both have heaps of criticism for each other, but they seem to appreciate each other all the more for it. It is a great scene from beginning to end, though I may interrupt it a couple of times.
I don't know what you got in your head, but I didn't do this to prove some kind of point.
One of my favorite bits about Firefly is that the characters are wrong and/or screw up all the time.
Yes, you do. You do all the time.
Well, yeah, but I'm not backing down from this one.
I'm not talking about occasionally missing the bad guys. I'm talking about roll-your-eyes screw-ups. Malcolm, of course, pulls a boner to get himself into this mess, but the bigger mistake is in not running like hell from the stupidest fight of his career. Inara is bringing him a reality check that often happens just so that we can all feel superior. or like chums, to this poor sap. Someone like Inara is not present during the next screw-up when Jane notes how well a river diversion would have worked, but you get the idea.
I might not show respect to your job, but he didn't respect you. That's the difference.
Malcolm will often split moral hairs, won't he? You can see that here and in the train job when he politely explains why he's a thief, but not the bad kind.
Is the result of the rules of your society, not mine.
You are always breaking the rules, no matter what society you're in. You don't get along with ordinary criminals either, which is why you are constantly getting in trouble.
You think following the rules will buy you a nice life, even if the rules make you a slave. Don't take his offer.
What?
Don't do it. Just in the case that it happens, it means he's the fellow who killed me. And I don't like fellows that killed me, not in general. I said before that I don't have call to stop you, and that's true. Anyways, don't.
This is what I'm talking about when I say that Firefly keeps track of its characters. Why is this scene here? It's not particularly entertaining, and it doesn't further the plot. It doesn't even really give us any insights into this character. The scene is just keeping tabs on her. It's sort of an odd cliffhanger, and this kind of thing is important to Firefly. I'm not particularly impressed with this last scene. These two seem to be backtracking from the fencing lesson scene, trying to cozy on back to their more usual poses. At the same time, it isn't really that bad, except when you compare it to other previous scenes. The episode as a whole also seems to occasionally suffer the same lukewarm fate.
I am grateful, you know, for the ill-conceived and high-handed attempt to defend my honor, although I didn't want you to.
Gracious as that is, as I look back, probably should have stayed out of your world.
My world, if it is that. I wasn't gonna stay, you know.
Yeah? Why is that?
Oh, someone needs to keep Kaylee out of trouble. And all my things are here. Besides, why would I want to leave Serenity?
Can't think of a reason.
Shindig doesn't always seem to come all the way up to Firefly standards, but it covers all the bases, it's clever, and it makes us smile a lot.